Welcome
Hello, hello.
to You,
Kill
Me.
film reviews for Reprobates.
Actually, that's not the title.
Well, Kasia and Eugene's
Eugene's
film
film
reviews for
from.
Reprobates.
Yes,
And
correct.
it's you.
Yeah, that's you. And us as well. Sorry for the nose picking. In any case, this is our music, our intro bumper music.
By Disco Interiors, our musical project.
That's true. Cut the music.
Right, it's so wonderful.
It is, but not for free.
We should listen to it at some
You
point.
get the chatter for free. The show comes, the music comes extra later. Anyway, first of all, I have to take time out to excuse myself. I'm a bit under the weather. I have what my Spanish friends would call la grippe. I got la grippe. At this point now, the fever and chills are over. It's just the cold, but that explains the eye color.
How would you say it in Polish?
I don't very much. Gripa is very much the same.
Good
So
for you.
there you go, and it's very close to the same in Romanian. So I got my James Bond skills, which are appropriate for the film that we're reviewing, which is
A movie about spies.
what's the title?
I don't remember the title. It was too long.
The
Something in
Spy
the
Who
Cold.
Came In from the Cold.
Yes.
And it's from a book by Jean Le Carré, which is John Le Carré and Frederick Forsyth. Well, first of all, let's talk about the struggle we had coming up with this movie as a movie to review. Like, just to carry them through the process. What do we start with? What do we say? We're going to go out and do what?
We're gonna go out and do some other movies that we will probably do at some point.
Correct. Like which ones?
Like, for example, Call Me by Your Name, or
Yeah, which we still have a review copy from, because we get it.
Yeah.
We got a vote for the Academy Awards. Haven't watched. She watched it on the
I
plane.
watched it on the plane, and I really would like to.
I haven't watched it. Just didn't. For some reason, being ill, I just didn't feel up to it.
We wanted to go to the actual theater to watch the movie, but then there was nothing in there. We're still waiting for.
We looked at the top 5 movies,
and they were terrible, and some of them we actually watched, so they were not that terrible, but we watched like most of them, and we were not interested in anything that plays this week. We are looking forward to see Sorry to Bother You. Is that the title?
Yep.
So we will probably
Boots Riley's movie.
We will probably watch it next week,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe we'll talk about it next week too. And then at some point we were like, you know what? Let's just watch something that we actually really like to watch, which is like classical movies from the times when this guy here was born, for example.
Right. So I started thinking, I knew I wanted to see something from the 60s, but not the bullshit happy hippie 60s. But I wanted to see something, and I started to mention
well, Joseph Lucy. We
Yes.
were actually like desperately looking for something by Joseph Lucy that we haven't seen and that's accessible through Amazon Prime or
which we found.
iTunes.
We found a couple that we hadn't seen, and one, I think very specifically, The Criminal, is one that I had been advised to see, and of course we couldn't get it.
We couldn't get it, yeah. So that's the problem. So we went to something similar to it, and to be honest, I was tired and I didn't pay attention to the director, and for the half of the what's the title of what's the title of that movie?
The Spy Who Came In from the Cold.
The Spy. Let's call it The Spy. I was thinking for the first part of that movie that it was actually directed by Joseph Lucy, because the scenery and the light and every detail,
Cinematography.
so like cinematography in general is beautiful. It's a black and white movie, and I have very soft spot for black and white stuff at first place, but it's just like everything was beautiful, and the attention to detail were very Lucy-esque, so I got tricked.
You got tricked. Well, what's interesting, she mentions black and white. What's interesting about black and white, this is also a staple of film noir. But there's a difference between the 1940s and 50s film noir and what happened to black and white in the 60s. because a lot of this, and indeed portions of The Servant, happen in the daytime. But what the use of black and white does is it takes that mid-rangey, it's not as stark as it was in the 40s, which matches the moral tone. It just takes it and it what is the word? It exsanguinates. It like sucks the blood out of the vibrant blacks and whites and the shadows of film noir into this kind of, horrible, Beckett-ish, daily drear. And I really don't know how to describe it outside of that.
I think it's very accurate.
Even if there's sunny days in Martin Ritt as a director, even if there's sunny days in The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, there are no sunny days if you
everything is kind of like gray and gloomy, which is great.
Which matches the setting, which it happens to be at Checkpoint Charlie. It's Cold War, post-World War II, post-Nazis in the streets. The dividing line between East Germany and West Germany as it goes through Berlin is how the movie kicks off. And it focuses on Richard Burton, who at this point now, most people have no idea who Richard Burton is, or just remember him as a talk show drunk, which is sort of how he ended his days. Actually, he did a few powerful movies before he died, but they were largely parodies of the early Richard Burton when he was at full power, and this is one of them. I want to say he's got elements of, he's like a British Steve McQueen, but that's giving McQueen way more credit than he deserves and giving Burton way less. I think he's one of our finest actors that we've had.
Yeah, he's great. He's great. I love his face. I love his acting. He was, of course, his role, he was a spy that was about to retire, and he got like the last task to do, and pretty much in this task he had to like pretend that he's a drunk, so he was drinking a lot of alcohol, so he was drunk all the time.
And he did there's certain classic drunks: Peter O'Toole, Richard Harris, the guy who played Robert Shaw, and then the guy who played the slave trader in Gladiator, Oliver Reed, famous Hollywood, but of course they were all British drunks. American drunks, unless they're Southern,
they're all Irish.
Yeah. American drunks, unless they are from the American South, can't hold a candle to European drunks, and specifically Brits, and then of course the finer category, like you just said.
I mean, just to get it straight, I'm not thinking that all the American drunks are Irish, but in the movies it just happens to be.
But
everybody's Irish.
Well, at this point now, I'm talking about the actors behind the characters.
Yes.
I mean, these are hard living. That's why they're dead. Like if you had to take French actors, drinking is normalized as part of the experience, so they'll drink all through the day. Whereas Brits and anybody from the United Kingdom, they hit that shit hard all throughout the day. Versus, I'll take some wine, little wine. What kills the French? Cigarettes. That's what kills them. What kills the Italians? Cigarettes and sausages. So every country has things that kill you. But in this instance, it was alcohol. But in any case, Burton was phenomenal. So in a typical John le Carré fashion, turns out they're spies, counter spies, moles, double dealings, backstabbings, and innocents who may or may not be quite so innocent. So that is a general lay of the land. I'm not going to at all. This was the easiest job that we had this week. It was a great award-winning movie. What are we going to do to tell you it was a great award-winning? You could figure that out yourself. Yes. The thing is, we're getting you to see movies that you wouldn't ordinarily see because it's like, what the fuck? Why would I see that? You got it. This is an appreciation.
Yeah, and I think we should, in general, in the future, focus more on that. To actually, like, give you the movies that you wouldn't know about, maybe, like from time to time. I'm not
that we like.
Yeah, and that we like.
I mean, this movie gave me such incredible pleasure because it did certain things I like. A morally ambiguous universe. At one point, one of the guys giving a speech, he said, they kill people, we kill people, and then there's just this kind of quiet ellipses, like, he goes, if I have to put a bomb on a bus, to kill one guy, and there's a mother and her daughter on the bus, and they get killed as well. Innocent people get killed all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
at least they got killed in the name of a good cause. That's some of the darkest fucking shit that it made me so happy to hear. I wish I had written it. That's how I felt about it. And also, if you get guys like Frederick Forsyth or Jean Le Carré or any of the, like Ian Fleming, actually, these were all OSS guys. They all had actually been World War II intelligence officers. So you got to figure that they're writing from. Look, the story as I understood it, and remember, we met Chris Blackwell, whose mother named the resort in Jamaica Goldeneye because Ian Fleming used to go there and write the books. Purportedly, the story is Ian Fleming was seeing a therapist after the shit he did in World War II, right? Mm-hmm. And the therapist said, look, you're going to go nuts if you don't deal with this. Write all this stuff out. So if you actually read the James Bond books, they're not this, martini, shake it, stir, and all that shit. They're like deep. The early ones are deeply psychotic, you know. And those were edited down to be more kind of mainstream.
Well, it's a part of the therapy.
Yeah. So this is when, I mean, it wasn't a joke. It wasn't about tuxedos and getting laid. This was like hardcore wet work, as they described it in the industry. Killing for the sake of uncertain policy objectives. And in that sense, it's a through line to what we saw last week, which was Sicario. Very much the same.
Sicario.
Yeah, very much the same thing. The same type of movie, morally ambiguous universe where good things happen to bad people, not often. Bad things happen to good people much more often.
Like all the time.
And in the end, the conclusions are none. So
yeah, and the thing that was different in The Spy from Sicario was that The Spy is actually based on dialogue and beautiful cinematography. It's not based on like action. There's not that much action in this movie, but there are great dialogues. Like every fucking sentence, you just want to write it down and like remember it forever. And the acting, of course, is just fantastic, and like Sicario was good too. But they're just like both kind of spy, movies. But I like Spy much more than Sicario. I like so much more.
Yeah. Well, it was more. Well, there were some beautiful scenes in Sicario.
Yeah,
but this whole the whole tone of the entire movie was really. And it won BAFTAs. I don't know if it won. I don't know if it ever resonated with American audiences, but British audiences, people who had to live some of this stuff, they loved it. And in later day versions, you've seen there's Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. There's the one with Gary Oldman and Tom Hardy, which was kind of not Le Carré, but maybe one of those type of guys, a spy thing. A lot of people couldn't take with it because they wanted the guns and the shooting. But this
what was the title? We liked it a lot.
Which one?
The one with Tom Hardy.
I think it was Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was, which was actually the name of the book. So these were my father, who I don't have too much connection to at this point in time, was an intelligence officer in the Cold War. And insofar as the stories he came to me, it was just because people weren't dropping bombs on each other. This was an intense struggle to maintain sort of dominance over Europe during a time where, Russia with Soviet Union was putting missiles in Cuba, where the world had actually gone sort of crazy as a result of World War II. So,
by intelligence officer, you mean aka spy?
Yeah.
He was just a spy?
He was a spy.
I mean,
just. Yeah.
He was a spy.
Well, in his case, it was just. He was a bass-playing spy because he spoke a lot of languages. And
it's not jazz. It's still pretty.
Yeah.
It's dangerous.
Yeah. Well, he's playing jazz clubs in East Berlin, so they was counting the fact that
he was listening.
He was getting chased out of gypsy camps after trying to screw gypsy women. He was much less successful in that regard than some of the people in Hemlock Grove. Apparently, seem to do a lot of screwing.
I'm a little bit gypsy.
Yeah, are you in Hemlock Grove? Yeah, right. So this movie was, outside of it being award-winning, it's one you should see.
Just go and see it.
Or the things that, I'm trying to think if there's stuff we could tell you that are absent plot points. But I don't.
Well, I'm telling you, the ending is gonna kill you. This is like that. That the title of our show is "You Kill Me," and that movie killed me.
Right.
It fucking killed me.
And if you want,
it was like long, slow scroll.
I was just gonna say
it just killed me so bad,
right.
and I wanted to scream.
I don't know if you know, but I've written a novel, and the novel is called "The Long, Slow Screw." If you're watching the show in France, it's released in France as Paternostre, and by the end of this year, it'll be released in France in French, and in Italy it'll be in Italian by the end of the year under well, God knows what title. But in English, it's A Long Slow Screw. It's at Amazon.com. You can buy it, and it's one of those books where it was purposely written this way, where if somebody tears out the last page, you don't know how the book ends. And this movie is very much like that. Mm-hmm. And of course, you know, I had people respond when the novel came out with emails that just had one line. You know, they were very. I don't
remember what I wrote you.
What did you write?
I texted him, "How could you do that to me?
Yes.
How could you do this?"
So my
it's so fucked up.
My mise en scene.
And
yes.
Genius. It was genius.
My mise en scene is derived completely from movies precisely like this one, The Spy Who Came In From the Cold. I love the long title.
I love it too. I just can't remember it.
I love
in front of the camera.
I love the premise, and there were a bunch. There was one called The Spook Who Sat by the Door, which also is a great novel. I have yet to see the movie, but you got to read the book, and it's about guys like my father, African American intelligence officers who came back from war and decided, I'm not going to be treated like a fucking slave in this country, and they launch a revolution. So I like all these long titles. The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, James Bond had The Spy Who Loved Me, then there's The Spook Who Sat by the Door. I just dig the long titles. It tells me right away that the director had to fight a lot of battles to get the title made because some jerk off in Hollywood, clearly with his eyes on the nickels and dimes, wasn't going to okay that title. Martin Ritt was great.
It would be like, hey, what about Kasia? She will not remember it. Just call it The Spy.
Yeah.
Or From Cold. Or
yeah. So like and the references, if there was a Cold War, they talk about a spy who came in from the cold. They were trying to get him to retire. Like, maybe it's time for you to stop fighting this war. Come in from the cold. Come in, you know, come in. So that's what the reference is to. But Martin Ritt, great. Richard Burton, great. Screenplay, great. I don't know if the screenplay was written by anybody else of note, but the book by John le Carré is, I haven't read that, but I've enjoyed John le Carré in the past. So, 1965, I was 3 when it came out. What else? What did we miss?
I think we didn't miss anything really, because I don't want to talk too much about this movie. I just want you to go and watch it. Like, really, it's on Amazon Prime. $4 or $3.
$3.99. Well worth every nickel.
Just really go and watch it. It's brilliant.
All right, so I'll just give go away. Okay, count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Just give it a 9. I'm giving it the first 10.
Oh wow, you're giving it a 10.
Yeah,
okay. To me, it was like 10 is like really.
Yep, the servant.
Is
Joseph
10.
Lucy is 10.
But it's a very like 9 is. It's brilliant.
Yeah, this is the first time we've ever gotten this high. So,
yeah.
So
my
this
first 9, your first 10.
Yeah, and these are recommendations. I mean, we're you know, if we want to do something kind of mainstream, we haven't seen Ant-Man and Wasp Woman. We didn't do that. We did a movie that you should see. It's a didactic function here, you know. And also, in my sickened state, we can state that's precisely what I wanted to see.
And it would also be one of those movies that I would go back to just to watch like a scene or two, like I'm doing with Taxi Driver or The Servant or Dracula by Coppola's Dracula or a couple other movies. I'm just like going back and like watching a couple of scenes because I just want to watch them when I'm thinking about them. So The Spy is going to be another movie like that.
And what's noteworthy about this is this comes from a generation at a time in Hollywood when screenplays were derived from novels, and you can fucking tell the difference, versus screenplays being derived from other movies, or in the worst case, in the doldrums of the 80s, when they were derived from TV shows. So you can really tell the difference. From the dialogue to the action to the whole bit. There's a great sweet spot from like the 40s straight through, you know, maybe the early to mid 70s when People were writing movies based on books. What Makes Sammy Run? Bud Schulberg as a book, great movie. On the Waterfront, Elia Kazan, great movie. I think Schulberg also wrote the book on that one.
I haven't watched him a lot.
Oh,
we should watch it and talk about it.
We need to watch it.
Like, yeah,
great movie that I've not seen.
Like I've heard a lot about it, and I always wanted to see it. But
well, now that I know how tall Marlon Brando is, 5'9", I would like to see it because I always thought he was taller than that. Yeah.
Why?
Why did I think he was taller?
Why would it make a difference?
I'm obsessed with celebrity height.
I know, but I would say that you're obsessed with him standing next to you.
Yeah, well, I almost got close to meeting Marlon Brando when he was alive because he was friends with the Jacksons, and one of the Jacksons' longtime tutors was friends with a friend of mine. So it's like you combine Marlon's hair. They didn't call him Marlon. They call him Bud. His friends apparently call him Bud.
Bud?
Bud. I go, Bud, who the fuck is that? Brando. So I didn't get a chance to meet him. The people who I almost met but didn't get a chance to meet, Bukowski, Harry Cruz, Marlon Brando. And that's, I think if I had been a little pushier, I would have gotten all three of those.
That would be great.
People who I had a chance to meet, and I just kind of go, William Burroughs. And now I regret it. I was in Lawrence, Kansas playing a show. And, he lives right over here in Lawrence. We could go by. I was like,
really?
Yeah. Prince, I did the same thing. I'm going to Japan. I get somebody else to interview Prince.
Wasn't it that he wanted to be interviewed by a woman?
And he wanted me to wear certain colors. I had to be a woman, and I couldn't look him in the eye. And it was all this country. It was just too nutty. And I was like, I know how to think somebody else. Yeah. And I did not send a woman. It's a men's magazine. I had a man journalist. So anyway, that's the show.
Yeah. Go and watch it now. Like, ready.
And below,
like it.
Give us a thumbs up.
Subscribe. Yeah, like one person give us a thumb down. I missed your thumb down, man.
Yeah. Tell your friends about it. Tweet it out. And we'll see you soon.
Yeah. Maybe on Sunday.
Yes.
Maybe not.
Yeah. You have to make tickets because that the Boots Riley movie is only at the Alamo Draft House.
Yeah, and I really want to go to Alamo.
We enjoy seeing movies here. Anyway, all right. We'll see you soon. Don't get sick.
Bye.